I thought owning lakefront property meant peace, kayaks, sunsets, and early coffee with the water lapping at my dock. That changed the moment Karen hammered a no trespassing sign right into my dock post. But the real twist? When the Coast Guard showed up, and they weren't there for me. It started on a Sunday, one of those golden mornings where everything feels right. My dog Max was sprawled on the deck, soaking up sunbeams. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when I noticed her. New neighbor, clipboard, sunglasses, marching across her lawn like she was leading a parade. She didn't wave, just stared at my dock. Now, for context, I'd lived on Willow Lake for 7 years, bought the property from a retired fisherman. The dock came with it, grandfathered in with permits dating back decades. Everyone knew it. The lake wasn't private and the shoreline belonged to individual homeowners, but docks were personal. I even had the paperwork framed in my shed. Karen moved in 2 weeks earlier. A for sale sign vanished, a moving truck appeared, and suddenly the quiet house across the cove became command central for all things annoying. She started small, loud lawn equipment at 6 a.m., lights blaring all night, and of course her 2 tiny dogs that barked like unpaid security guards at every ripple in the water. But the dock? That was new. That Sunday, she marched straight down to the water, eyed my dock like it had personally insulted on her, then stormed back up. An hour later, I heard the hammering. When I walked over, I found it. A brand new no trespassing sign zip-tied and nailed right onto the dock railing. My dock railing. I just stood there, stunned. It was red, reflective, and professionally printed. Below it, a second sign. I'm almost done. Private waters. Violators will be prosecuted. Max tilted his head. I muttered something I shouldn't repeat here. I marched back up to my porch and grabbed the folder with the dock permit, walked next door and rang her bell. She answered with a fake smile and that unmistakable Karen tilt of the head. "Can I help you?" "Yeah," I said, calm but firm. "You put a sign on my dock, just wondering why." Her smile vanished. "That dock extends over public water, and it's unsightly. I've already contacted the HOA. "There's no HOA here." "There is now. Several neighbors agree we need one." That was news to me, and not the good kind. I showed her the permit. She didn't look. "You'll be hearing from someone about it," she said, then slowly, deliberately, shut the door in my face. That was just the beginning. By Friday, she'd mailed flyers to the entire neighborhood. Willow Lake Beautification and Safety Initiative. Sounded nice, until you flipped it over. Unregistered docks, non-compliant structures, and a blurry photo of, yep, my dock. Next came the email chain. She created a neighborhood Google group without my consent, added my name, and labeled my dock a safety hazard for kayakers and local wildlife. One neighbor forwarded me the thread. "Is this real?" he asked. I laughed. Then I didn't, because the next day I got a letter, unsigned, with a printout of some obscure municipal code. She'd highlighted random sections in yellow, mostly unrelated. One was about waste disposal. I should have ignored her. I really should have. But the next morning my kayak was missing. Gone. Vanished. Max barked furiously toward her yard, and I saw a glimpse of red plastic, my kayak, sitting behind her hedge. I confronted her. She claimed it washed up on her shore, and she was waiting to report it, despite the fact it had a 20-foot tether and custom seat I'd built myself. Things went nuclear from there. She called the city twice, claimed my dock was commercial because I let my cousin park a jet ski for the summer. She left voicemails on my landline pretending to be lake compliance agents. Her voice was very recognizable. She even poured birdseed across the dock, hoping to attract droppings. I'm not joking. One morning I walked out and it looked like a Hitchcock movie. Then came the worst. A certified letter. A formal complaint to the Coast Guard about unauthorized structures impeding navigation. I laughed. Coast Guard on a lake until they showed up. Uniforms, badges, a boat. But as they docked, something shifted. One officer looked at the dock, looked at me, and then looked across the water. Sir, we received a report about unlawful use of public waterways, he said. From her? I asked, pointing. He didn't respond directly, but the smirk said it all. I handed him the paperwork. He looked through it, nodded, then leaned closer. You might want to be nearby in about 72 hours. Just a hunch. That was the moment I knew. It was time to fight back. The next day I got to work. Step 1, research. I combed through the lake zoning records, old HOA meeting logs from years ago, and the city archives. Found a gem. Karen's property had a small easement violation from the 1990s. Nothing big, but it meant she wasn't technically allowed to build anything within 10 feet of the waterline. Guess who just installed a tiki bar and a garden fountain right by the lake? Step 2, I made calls to zoning, the parks department, and the environmental board. I didn't lie, I just asked a lot of very specific questions. Step 3, I mounted a brand new sign on my dock. Registered structure, state file number 0487, protected under public access laws. I added a QR code. It led to the official permit and my favorite photo of Max in a captain's hat. Neighbors loved it. Karen? Not so much. The next week, a city truck pulled up. Then 2. Code enforcement officers walked onto her property, measuring tape in hand. They looked at her tiki bar, then her dog run, then the fire pit. Then they knocked on her door. She screamed at them, told them I was stalking her. They calmly handed her a violation packet. But that wasn't the end, because the Coast Guard returned, and this time they weren't just checking my dock. The boat docked again, same officer at the helm. Karen ran out, waving papers. I already filed a counter complaint, she shouted. He raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, we're not here about that. He walked with surprising grace for a guy in boots, straight past her, straight to the side of her house. And then he pulled out a laser measuring tool. Turns out she'd extended her dock without a permit. Not only that, but she'd driven metal stakes into part of the shared waterway, violating Section 312 of the State Waterway Navigation Act. Translation, she was blocking public use. Ironically, the exact thing she accused me of. Neighbors gathered. One brought popcorn. The officer issued 2 citations on the spot. Karen exploded, said it was harassment. He just smiled. Ma'am, I suggest you remove any signs not posted on your own property. She tried to argue that my dock was attached to the community ecosystem, whatever that means. He turned to me. Nice hat, Captain Max, he said, nodding to my dog. That was the final blow. Karen stormed inside, slammed the door, and hasn't spoken a word to me since. The lake is quiet again. Max lounges on the dock without being pelted with birdseed. My kayak is back in its place, triple locked, just in case. The tiki bar next door, dismantled. Turns out sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's legal, well-documented, and a little poetic. Karen still glares at me across the water, sunglasses on, lips tight, but she hasn't posted another sign, and now, every time the Coast Guard boat does a routine check, they slow down and wave at Max. He wags his tail like a celebrity. As for me, I've learned a valuable lesson. Entitlement can make people bold, but paper trails make them quiet. To anyone dealing with their own Karen, keep records, stay calm, and never underestimate the power of a QR code. What would you have done if someone posted no trespassing on your property? Drop it in the comments. And if you made it to the end, comment justice served so I know who my dock defenders really are. See you next time. Max says hi. If seeing Karen's HOA drama fall apart gave you life, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable neighborhood showdowns. Trust me, the next one might be even crazier.